was just working the night shift at this hotel, and I thought I had seen it all, until one night I realized that the building had a secret I was never supposed to reveal. Hey everyone, I'm Sarah, just a regular person who took a housekeeping job at one of the oldest, most elegant hotels in our city. If you work in hospitality, security, cleaning, front desk, or any job where you see things guests don't expect you to see, drop your profession in the comments below and tell me, what's the strangest or most unsettling thing you've ever noticed on the job? I read every single story. And if you're new here, please hit subscribe and turn on notifications. These real-life, behind-the-scenes stories are going to keep coming. It all started about 8 months ago. I just moved back to town after a rough couple of years, needed steady work, and the Grand Meridian Hotel posted an opening for overnight housekeeping. The pay was decent, the staff seemed friendly during the interview, and the building itself is beautiful. Marble floors in the lobby, crystal chandeliers, that old-world charm people pay extra for. I figured it would be quiet nights, vacuuming hallways, restocking towels, making beds after late checkouts. Easy money. My first week was exactly what I expected. Polite guests, the occasional spilled wine, a few forgotten phone chargers. The team was welcoming, Maria showed me the supply closets, Javier taught me the fastest way to fold fitted sheets, and our night manager, Mr. Ellis, always said good evening with a warm smile. Everything felt normal. There was only one thing that struck me as odd right away. On my orientation tour, Maria pointed down a long carpeted corridor on the 5th floor and said casually, "That wing is closed for renovations. You'll never need to go there. Just stick to floors 2 through 4. I nodded. Hotels have maintenance areas, storage, staff-only sections, no big deal. But something about the way she said it, quick, almost rehearsed, stuck with me. The door at the end of that hallway didn't have a closed for renovation sign. It had a simple brass plaque that read, "Private, authorized personnel only." No construction tape, no tools, no workers coming and going, just a heavy wooden door that always stayed closed. I didn't think much of it at first. New job, new routines, lots to learn. But then the guests started arriving. They came late, usually after midnight, always alone, always dressed in expensive coats, tailored suits, designer shoes, and every single one of them wore a mask. Not medical masks, animal masks, sleek, well-made ones, wolf, fox, raven, stag, the kind you'd see at a high-end masquerade, except these weren't for a party. These people moved with purpose. No small talk at the desk, no checking in like normal guests. They'd walk straight through the lobby, nod once to the night porter, and disappear down that 5th floor hallway. I watched from the service elevator one night, pretending to restock the linen cart. One guest, tall, silver hair under his coat hood, adjusted his wolf mask before pushing the private door open. It closed behind him with a soft, heavy click. That was the moment my curiosity turned into something colder. I told myself it was none of my business, but deep down I already knew I was going to find out what was really happening behind that door. The more nights I worked, the more patterns I noticed. The animal-masked guests never came before 11 p.m., they never carried luggage, they never asked for room keys, and they always left before sunrise, usually one by one, masks gone, faces hidden under hats or hoods, slipping out the side service exit like they'd never been there. I started timing it. 3 to 5 guests on quiet nights, up to 8 or 9 on Fridays and Saturdays. Always the same routine. Quiet walk through the lobby, brief nod to the night porter, who never looked surprised, straight to the 5th floor hallway, and then nothing. No sound, no light leaking under the door, no one ever coming back out that way. During the day, the hotel felt completely normal. Tourists taking photos in the lobby, business travelers rushing to meetings, wedding parties laughing in the ballroom, housekeeping carts rolled everywhere. The 5th floor hallway looked ordinary, just a long stretch of burgundy carpet, gold wall sconces, and that one unmarked private door at the end. During daylight hours, I even pushed my cart past it once or twice. It was always locked. No handle on our side, just a smooth brass plate and a discreet keypad I'd never seen anyone use. One evening, about a month in, I was restocking mini fridges on the fourth floor when Javier, one of the older porters, walked by with a stack of fresh towels. "Hey, new girl," he said in a low voice, glancing toward the stairwell. "You've been looking up at 5 a lot lately." I froze for a second. "Just curious. That wing's been under renovation since I started. No workers, no noise. Kinda weird, right?" He gave me a long look, not angry, but serious. "Listen, Sarah, some things in this place aren't for us to know. The night crew handles the 5th floor. We don't ask questions, we don't go near that door. Ever." I tried to laugh it off. "What, is it haunted or something?" Javier didn't smile. "Worse than haunted. Just do your floors, take your breaks, go home. Don't get curious. Curiosity here costs more than it's worth." He walked away before I could ask anything else. That conversation stayed with me all night. I kept replaying his tone, quiet, almost protective, like he was warning me out of kindness, not anger. A few nights later, around 1 a.m., I was wiping down the service elevator when I heard soft footsteps coming down the main corridor. I stepped back into the shadows just in time to see a guest in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit walk past. Raven mask, black feathers catching the hallway light. He moved fast, confident, like someone used to being obeyed. When he reached the private door, he didn't hesitate, just pressed a code into the keypad I'd never noticed before. The door clicked open silently, and he disappeared inside. The door closed behind him with that same soft, heavy sound. I stood there for a long moment, heart beating louder than it should. That was the night I decided I had to know what was on the other side. I wasn't going to push the door open, not yet, but I was going to start paying closer attention. After Javier's warning, I tried to put it out of my mind. I told myself he was probably right. Some things aren't worth knowing. I focused on my work, scrubbing bathtubs, changing sheets, restocking coffee pods, smiling at guests who barely noticed me. But the masked arrivals kept happening, and every time one walked past, my eyes followed them to that door like they were pulled by a string. One slow Tuesday night around 2 a.m., I was mopping the lobby when the revolving door turned. In walked a man I recognized immediately, even with the stag mask covering most of his face. Tall, broad shoulders, the same confident stride I'd seen on local news. It was Councilman David Hargrove, the one who always appeared at ribbon cuttings and charity galas, shaking hands and smiling for cameras. Tonight, he wore a long black overcoat and that polished stag mask with gold antlers. He didn't glance at the front desk. He didn't slow down. He just crossed the marble floor, nodded once to the night porter, and headed straight for the 5th floor hallway. My mop stopped moving. My heart started hammering. I waited until his footsteps faded, then quietly wheeled my cart toward the service stairs. I told myself I was just checking supplies on 5, nothing more. The stairwell was silent except for my breathing. When I reached the landing, I cracked the door open just enough to peek into the corridor. The hallway looked empty. Dim sconces cast long shadows on the carpet. The private door at the far end was closed, but a thin line of warm amber light glowed underneath it. The first time I'd ever seen any light coming from that side. I stood frozen, listening. No voices, no music, no footsteps, just the low, steady hum of the building's air system, and something else, a faint murmur, like distant conversation filtered through thick walls. Not loud enough to make out words, but enough to know people were in there, multiple people. I should have turned around right then, gone back downstairs, finished my shift, gone home to my tiny apartment and pretended I hadn't seen what I saw. But curiosity, that stupid, stubborn thing, won. I stepped into the hallway, leaving my cart propped in the stairwell door so it wouldn't lock behind me. My sneakers made almost no sound on the thick carpet. I moved slowly, hugging the wall, eyes locked on that glowing line under the door. 10 feet away, 5, 3. Then I heard it clearly, A soft laugh, male, followed by another voice, lower, saying something I couldn't catch. The tone was relaxed, almost casual, like a private club meeting, not threatening, not violent, just exclusive. I was close enough now to see the keypad beside the door, small, black, no markings. My hand hovered near it for a second before I pulled back. I wasn't getting in without a code, and I definitely wasn't going to try guessing. But standing there, inches from that door, I felt it, the shift. This wasn't just some weird after-hours party. This was deliberate, hidden, protected. And the people behind that door weren't random guests. They were the kind of people who ran things in this city. I backed away slowly, pulse roaring in my ears. That night changed everything, because once you see something like that, you can't unsee it.
The next few shifts felt different. Every time I passed the service stairs or glanced toward the fifth-floor hallway, my skin prickled. I kept replaying that thin line of amber light under the door, the muffled laughter, Councilman Hargrove's stag mask. It wasn't fear, exactly, more like the uneasy feeling you get when you realize you've stumbled onto something that was never meant for your eyes. I started noticing other small things. The night porter, a quiet man named Tomas who rarely spoke more than 2 words, now watched me a little longer when I crossed the lobby. Mr. Ellis, our night manager, asked once, very casually, if I'd noticed anything unusual on my rounds. I smiled and said no, just the usual spills and lost earrings. He nodded, but his eyes lingered. Then came the night that pushed me over the edge. It was a Thursday, around 1:30 a.m. The hotel was dead quiet. No check-ins, no room service calls. I was finishing the third-floor hallway when I heard the elevator ding. I stepped back behind a housekeeping cart just in time to see a familiar figure step out. It was the same councilman from before. No mask this time, just his usual polished look. Navy suit, red tie, silver cufflinks catching the light. He looked exactly like he did on television, except now he was alone. No entourage, no smile for cameras. He carried a slim leather briefcase and moved with purpose toward the service stairs, the ones that led straight up to 5. I waited until his footsteps echoed up the stairwell, then followed at a distance. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I told myself I'd just go 1 flight, see where he went, then turn back. But I kept going. When I reached the 5th-floor landing, the stairwell door was cracked open, just an inch, like someone hadn't pulled it fully closed. Through the gap, I could see the hallway, same dim sconces, same burgundy carpet, and the private door at the end was slightly ajar. Warm light spilled out, along with that same low murmur of voices. I edged closer, staying low, using the cleaning cart I'd dragged up as cover. From maybe 15 feet away, I could see inside. Not fully, but enough. It was a large room, walls painted deep crimson, heavy velvet drapes, chandeliers dimmed to a soft glow. Round tables with white linens, maybe a dozen people inside, all wearing those animal masks. Wolf, fox, owl, panther. They sat in small groups, talking quietly, sipping from crystal glasses. No loud music, no dancing, just conversation, relaxed, private, like a members-only lounge where the city's most powerful people could drop the public mask and wear a different one. I recognized 2 more faces even through the masks, a prominent real estate developer whose billboards are everywhere, and the CEO of the biggest local bank. They were laughing about something, clinking glasses. My stomach dropped. This wasn't a party. This was a meeting, a secret one, and I was looking right at it. Then someone inside shifted, and their shadow fell across the open door. I backed away fast, heart slamming, and retreated down the stairs as quietly as I could. I made it back to the 3rd floor shaking. That was when I knew I couldn't pretend anymore. I'd seen too much, and they might already know I'd seen it.
I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the crimson room, the animal masks, the crystal glasses clinking like nothing unusual was happening. These weren't strangers. These were the people whose names appeared in headlines, who cut ribbons for new buildings, who decided where tax money went. And here they were, meeting in secret, behind a door I was supposed to pretend didn't exist. The next shift felt endless. I kept my head down, cleaned rooms faster than ever, avoided eye contact with anyone on the night crew. But around 3 a.m., when I was restocking the lobby coffee station, Mr. Ellis appeared at the front desk. He didn't say good evening like usual, he just looked at me. Long, steady, unblinking. "Sarah," he said quietly, "a word?" My stomach twisted. I followed him into the small office behind the desk. He closed the door. "I've noticed you've been lingering near the service stairs lately," he began. No anger in his voice, just calm certainty. "And last night, someone mentioned seeing a housekeeping cart left in the 5th floor stairwell, not where it should be." I opened my mouth to lie, but nothing came out. He leaned forward, elbows on the desk. "I'm going to be direct. What you think you saw doesn't concern you. It doesn't concern any of us. The people who use that room pay for discretion. A lot of it. They keep this hotel running. They keep jobs like yours secure. If word got out, well, things could change quickly. For everyone." I felt the air leave the room. It wasn't a threat, exactly. More like a fact being laid out. "I didn't see anything," I managed to say. Mr. Ellis studied me for a long moment. Then he nodded once. "Good. Keep it that way. Finish your shift, go home. And Sarah, don't come back curious." I left the office shaking. The rest of the night passed in a blur. I avoided the 5th floor completely. When my shift ended at 7 a.m., I clocked out, walked straight to my car, and drove home without looking back. 3 days later, I wrote my resignation letter. Short, polite, no explanation. I emailed it to HR and never set foot in the Grand Meridian again. I found another job, smaller hotel, farther from downtown, no private wings, no animal masks. The pay was less, but I slept better. Months have passed now. I still drive past the Grand Meridian sometimes. From the outside, it looks exactly the same. Elegant, welcoming, glowing under the streetlights. People go in and out, tourists with suitcases, couples on date nights, businessmen with briefcases. Normal. Beautiful. But I know better. Behind those polished doors, under those chandeliers, there's a room painted crimson where the city's most powerful people put on masks and pretend the rules don't apply to them. And most of us, the ones who clean the rooms, park the cars, serve the coffee, are paid to look the other way. I chose not to. Now when I pass that building, I don't feel scared anymore. I just feel certain. Behind beautiful walls, something very dark can hide in plain sight, and sometimes the smartest thing you can do is walk away. Thanks for listening to the whole story. If it made you think twice about the places you trust, comment your own unsettling work experience below. And if you want more real stories like this, subscribe and hit the bell. Stay aware out there. Sarah, signing off.